president and the vice president have yet to speak since those deadly riots when Pence and his family had to be evacuated. Joining us now, former Pence advisor Olivia Troy. Olivia, thank you for joining us. The rioters were literally threatening Pence's life. First, what's your reaction to that?
It makes my stomach turn. That is frightening images. Like, these are Americans calling for the hanging of the sitting vice president of the United States. It is deplorable.
And given the president and Pence haven't even spoken since all of that, what do you think Pence is thinking right now?
I mean, he certainly knew to expect this, right? We know who Donald Trump is. We know how he behaves when you speak out against him. Anybody who does not tell his truth and go along with the lies that he once said, the second you take a stand against this man, he does everything he can to discredit you and to destroy you. And so I think Mike Pence is seeing this firsthand of what many around this administration have lived.
We are hearing calls from the private sector, from big business to members of Congress, including a Republican member of Congress, saying that the 25th Amendment should be invoked, which would start with the vice president here. Our reporting is that Pence's advisors have been having informal discussions with several cabinet members about the 25th Amendment, but that Pence himself has not been part of those discussions and that it is, quote, highly unlikely Pence would pursue this path at this point. What do you think?
I think Mike Pence should change his mind and do the right thing for the country. This is a moment like no other. This is dangerous. This man has proven time and time repeatedly that he is unfit to be sitting in the Oval Office. And I think it is prudent for others to be making these calls. I think they should be calling especially Republican lawmakers and telling them to push for this. And if not, then the impeachment needs to be moving forward with regardless.
So that's what you think he should do, but what do you think he will do?
I think Mike Pence is weighing the calculus of where the Republican Party wants to stand on this. And the right thing for the party to do right now is to do the right thing for the country. It is selfish to sit there and claim to be a Republican and have values that represent America when there was a clear insurrection and movement at the U.S. Capitol that put the top leaders of our country in danger. And so if you want to be on the right side of history, if you want to finally take a stand, you need to remove this man from office. And I think they need to put pressure on the vice president, and he needs to hear from you, because that's the only way that I see Mike Pence actually moving forward with this.
If Trump were removed from office through impeachment, how likely is it that Pence might preemptively pardon Trump?
I hope that Mike Pence would not ever do that, considering the number of lives that have been lost in this administration, the number of lies that have been told, the suffering that has happened. But look, I've seen the vice president stand by this president over and over again. So all bets are off when it comes to this.
Why does he put up with it? Why has he stood by the president through all of this and even seemingly continuing to do so now?
I think you have a lifelong Republican who has always remained consistent and be a loyal soldier to this president, unfortunately to his detriment. And I think that it's time for him to take a bigger stand. He's gone along with this for way too long. I've personally worked for this man. I have seen his frustration at times firsthand. I've seen the struggles that we all had inside this White House. And it's time to move forward and finally do the right thing.
Has the president and the vice president, have they actually had a close relationship? You hear about the previous administration between, President Obama and his vice president, Joe Biden, and how they were genuinely friends and enjoyed each other and respected each other. Is that the type of relationship Pence and Trump have had?
I think from what I saw it was cordial working relationship. I think that at times I have to say that I was personally grateful that the vice president's voice was in the room, because I really think that there would have been so many worse things that would have been horrifying that would have happened if he hadn't been the calming voice in the room. And so I think he played that role when he needed to. But at the end of the day, when you're working for Donald Trump and the enablers around him, your hands at some point are tied. And I think it's a very hard, toxic environment to work in. And it's unfortunate that the vice president continued to sign up for it.
Olivia, Troy, I appreciate your insights. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.